I told her ride it like a rental, it's just a rental. I'm not with all the sentimentals, just keep it simple.
So I was just driving, about to go film a video, and I found a Mustang Mach-E in person, the all-new electric four-door Mustang SUV. Damn, I was not expecting to see that, but that was incredible. What is your guys' opinion on it? I already made a video stating my opinion. I think that they're all right and they hit the mark for what they were going for, but I think that it was unnecessary in concept. And it's kind of ruining like the whole mentality behind a Mustang. It's supposed to be a performance machine, and in a SUV platform, it's really hard to do that. I know they did the 1400 Mach-E, but that was a special edition, that was all custom work, and that was to really drive hype for this. But they also do that with making their NASCARs look like Mustangs, to drive up hype for the new Mustang. They do the same shape as when the S550 came out. They shaped their NASCAR as a Mustang. So I think they were just trying to build up hype for it, in that the car itself isn't quite worth the price. If you look at the price point of Teslas in comparison for range as well as power, Ford missed the mark a little bit on there, but I do think that they are very stylish for being a like compared to a Ford Explorer or something like that. I just wish they wouldn't have given it the Mustang name and making it electric. As I am down for electric Mustangs, I just think you have to keep the body style in the origin behind the name, and to change it like that is a bit damaging to the reputation of Mustang, I think. And if they muddy the water too much, it's gonna be really hard to, like, Mustang is associated with fast cars, sports cars, and fun, and as soon as you start adding electric SUVs to that mix with four doors, I think it ruins the taste and style that was in that group. So anyways, that's my 2 cents on it. I'm about to go film whether or not you should purchase an S197, not a Mach-E. I already did a Mach-E, but I'm about to go review my own car. It's been a year and a half, and I finally feel comfortable with making a video telling you all the ups and downside in my opinions on it. So let's go cut right to where I can go start filming that video. Peace. Okay guys, today we're going to be going over why you should or should not get an S197 Mustang, whether that is the earlier generations of the 05 through 09, or whether that's the newer ones 10 through 14. I'll explain all the cons and pros, and you guys can weigh your options about them. And I'm going to tell you my personal experience. I know people differ on the Mustang platform, especially the S197, but it's all preferences, and this is what my story has to tell. I've owned this car for about a year and a half at this point. I have had 3 complaints about this car. 2 of them just sports car related, 1 about this car in particular. But besides that, it's mostly positives. Now, as we go over the car itself, it's already modded and it doesn't come like this stock. So as far as appearance wise, you don't need to do a lot to make these cars look good. The very first thing I did was have wheels and tire, and that alone already set off the S197 platform. I'll show you the newer generation as well as the older generation, and just how wheels alone can change the stance and the complete shape of this car. Just a little bit can do a lot. As far as other cosmetic things, I've already done a front end conversion. I wrapped the whole car. As you guys have seen, I did a ZL1 wicker bill on the back and an APR carbon fiber front splitter. I've also did a new hood and changed the headlights out. One complaint I did have about it, which I didn't actually think to include, was the original lights. Everything besides the 13 and 14 S197 headlights are super dim. They're not LED, but these are the brand new LED ones. They look super good and are really nice on the freeway. I also have super bright Morimoto, I think it's Morimoto, fog lights that are super bright as well, but those don't normally come on this car. Now, as far as what I got right in front of me is a 3.7 liter V6 2012 Premium Edition. Now, this car originally came as a lava red, which is only 26 in production, which I currently went away from that color. I wanted a sleeker look, and that, even though that color is super rare, the depth of the color wasn't my favorite. Now, this car itself, I've done a lot of things to it, but as far as I'll show you my stock version of this car and what it looks like now, flashing between the two, it's changed a lot and transformed over the year. Okay, the very first con about this car that I do have to say is that the rep. First of all, you're driving a sports car, so you get a really bad rep already, but as soon as you own a Mustang, it's very different. Mustangs are known for reckless driving and a lot of things associated like curb surfing and stuff like that. Mustangs don't get a good rep in the car community or even outside of it. So as soon as someone asks me what kind of car I have, they'll be very interested and ask me like a question like, hey, what kind of car is it? It looks cool. What kind of is it? And as soon as I say Mustang, a lot of people have their demeanor change and talk negatively towards the car because it is a Mustang. A lot of people, I understand, that steers them away from purchasing this platform. But the car itself, even when I'll show a couple of videos of a JDM guy drives a Mustang for the first time, he is blown away by the performance and the capability of this car in turns as well as straight lines. It is super performance heavy. Now, I did get a premium, so it is upgraded suspension from factory, which I still have the factory suspension. It drives incredibly. I'll show you some clips of me driving as well. But this car handles incredibly. Goes in corners, it's super comfy, and the control of this car is insane. You can do comfort mode, standard, or sport. The sport mode is super nice because every little adjustment you make to the steering wheel, it will also adjust the wheels. There's no dead space, there's no any sort of movement to it, and the body roll in this car is next to zero. It feels so good. And it's also very predictable in the way this car moves. I do daily this car. I don't recommend dailying this car throughout the winter. I live in Minnesota. We have very harsh winters. I just put on some Aston Martin Scorpion tires, and I was good enough from there. But I don't recommend dailying this. Now, my second complaint. My first one is about the stigma of a Mustang. My second complaint is about sports cars in general. I am a 21-year-old owning a Mustang, and I owned a Mustang before this as well. But still, as owning a two-car sports car when you're 21, insurance is going to be expensive. That's a no-brainer. So as anyone that's looking into getting a sports car, or as particularly a S197 Mustang, you do have to take into consideration of insurance costs. Now, as far as upkeep on this car, I've owned it for a year and a half, and the most expensive upkeep I had to do to this was replace the front rotors, which was about $600 to be honest. So new pads, new caliper, as well as rotor. The whole assembly was $600 for both sides. So overall, realistically, the upkeep on this car isn't bad. The third and final point I want to make is gas mileage. Now, I get about 16 to 17 miles per gallon, and that is very low, typical to a standard car. But for a sports car, that isn't bad. I know some supercharged V8s that only get 8 miles per gallon, so I guess I should be happy. And that's it for all the negative things that I have to say about this car. Overall, it's really great. It performs super well, and it feels incredible to drive. Whether you have a 5-liter V8 or you have a 3.7-liter V6, this car is super reliable. It goes for a lot of mileage, and they're very consistent motors. Upkeep isn't that expensive as long as you don't try to get a lot of power out of it or tune it yourself. That will wear down the lifetime of your motor. From factory, Ford did a really great job on the geometry of the chassis as well as the suspension components. Now, other reasons why you should get a S197 car. In comparison to amount of horsepower for how much you're spending, it's super cheap. Body lines are super good. You can see how the body line over the rear goes right into the doorway, which this one carries all the way through, going right above right there. The wheel arches in this car, in my opinion, look super fantastic, and you can really see the shape of this car. It all flows together, and I think it looks really good. As far as a American muscle car, this has the ideal shape. Super wide rear, super slick looking front, arrow pointed down, hood scooping to the back the roof scooping to the back to where the trunk is, having smooth body lines. This thing has all that you could want from a modern looking sports car, especially an American muscle car. As far as other things that I would like to comment on this car, I really enjoy the body lines and the texture. This is why I went with a satin tone, is because I really cared about the body lines showing. And they really do hold true, especially when you don't have a paint job that's super depth. You can see every body line on the car right now. As far as the car itself, I haven't had any issues with it. I bought it for $8,000 at 80,000 miles. And for that price, you couldn't get a better sports car on the market. I could maybe find a Z for that money, but it would have probably about 150,000 miles. And don't get me wrong, this car at first didn't look that great. I'll show you. It had paint chipped hood, and I'll show you a picture from the very first day when I was looking at it. It didn't look that great. But as soon as you put a little bit of time in the cosmetic appearance of your car, you can make it look really good for super cheap. First thing I did when I got this car was I changed up the tires. Then next thing I did was muffler Axleback Race Series Magnum Flow exhaust. I just couldn't listen to my car sounding kind of like a Dyson vacuum cleaner, especially for it being a V6. This really opened up and it sounds incredible. People often have to ask me what kind of platform of a car I have based on the exhaust sounding so good. I think a lot of people wouldn't have fallen out of love with the Mustangs if they didn't come up with this platform. It revived the new edge shape and put in a brand new old style and new, which a lot of companies are copied. Which as soon as the S197, the earlier generation came out, guess what? Camaro came back into production and they copied a very similar style and aesthetic as the Mustangs have. They came out for 2 years, Mustang 10 and 11. And then in 2012, Camaro came out with theirs, which they redid their old-shaped Camaro body. There's a reason why this is the oldest and longest production sports car ever made. It is so well balanced as far as performance and handling, and is incredible to feel on the road. Out of everything I've ever wanted from a car, this thing has achieved it. It's dailyable. I've brought a rug from IKEA in it. It has a lot of space, and it looks amazing. I can park it anywhere, and it's not too big. That might change if I wide body it, but for what I'm saying as of right now, it is perfectly balanced. So if you do plan on buying an S197, please don't be that guy that is crowd surfing. Please be responsible with how you drive in the Mustang, and please don't ruin that namesake in the car community or just in general. I really appreciate you guys watching the video, and as always, subscribe, like, and comment. I want to hear your guys' thoughts and comments concern about the S197 platform, and tell me your story if you own one.